Howdy, Tanya and team. It's Brendan. So I did a couple experiments. This is me starting off with a green curtain with only one light and seeing if I can just backlight myself, just do some fun stuff. If the actors had kind of a very crude green curtain, not a lot of love and care put into it, I am shooting everything on my phone to really handcuff myself to what I'm told the actors have. And then I'm just playing with some different backlighting options to see if we can kind of just get theatrical in the lighting without really doing any heavy lifting on the chroma key or the green screen removal. So this is me just kind of moving around, completely silhouetted and just completely backlit. I don't know if this is really that convincing, but it's kind of a first pass at doing that. Then I'm going to kind of try some different angles. And you can see a little bit of a cast on my face, so if the actors were more profile, we would still be able to kind of feel them in the light. Now what I'm going to do is put up a black curtain instead of a green curtain. And the thought here would be, if we're not going to worry so much about green screen removal, or in certain moments, if we want to not worry about the chroma key that is going to pull at people's hair and the sides of their faces because we're shooting on phones. So in a couple moments, if you want to lean into kind of the black box aesthetic, something I've done is just gotten cheap black felt fabric, sent it to actors, and instead of hanging up their green screen, they hang up black. And it just kind of flattens everybody's background into just a void that then we can easily composite people next to each other in a void. Now, when I did this with the backlighting, it's just kind of black on black. So instead, I picked up the light and started playing with it positionally around myself, kind of like we would play with lighting in the theater, of kind of positionally how the backlighting works. So we can just throw it at the background and get a little bit of a silhouette. We can start coming underneath our talent, coming more to the front. We can flare a little on the lens. Again, that's going to be hard to control with two actors, but I was just trying to play with looks that might just be very simple to execute, but would kind of help tell the story. So in the futzing around with this is why I like to do this stuff, is I just kind of look at a lot of what doesn't work and then slowly start to figure out what might work. So thought about going overhead, but I thought it might be weird for the actors to have to like hang lights. And then something that I gave the group in an email was kind of a strip light that can strobe. It's kind of like it's literally meant for like being trapped on the side of the road or something at night. And I wanted to play with the idea of, if we could send them the same moving light, or kind of pin light, if you will, we might be able to play with a lighting source that starts to feel a little bit more like highway lighting or street lighting or cars at night. So this is me still playing positionally around, but I'm giving you some context because I'm hoping that when I lift it into frame to keep playing with it, you'll see kind of what I had in mind. So yeah, this feels very dark to me. Not in love with it. I keep trying to dial it, see what I can maybe do with it. I bring it completely front, kind of looks like headlights, but it's just kind of very front lit. Now I'm a little bit underlit, which could be a thing if, the car is turned off and it's just at night. And then I started playing with, like I was kind of setting up before, these pin lights, or these kind of small lights. And this is just closing the barn doors of the LED I have, because I don't have a ring light, I just have an LED. But this would be kind of masking the majority of the light and just keeping a piece of it. And I started to wonder, if we put kind of two little pin lights behind them both, would it look like headlights? And could we play with them being only illuminated by headlights behind them? And then there could be this kind of nice profile-y, silhouette-y texture or bleed on them. And if we gave movement to that, if we had the strobe effect of the little strip lighting that I sent, then you could have it kind of passing by them on the same side, and it would look like they were just in darkness in a car. And what's nice about this is there's no chroma key happening, there's no green screen removal, we are just taking iPhone footage that is being beamed to my computer. So the same way as if I could grab their footage and just send it to my computer. And then I played with it on the other side and behind my head and just seeing what could look good. We could strobe the lights behind them. So these could be choice moments that we choose to break out and do something just very theatrical, very simple, very stripped down, and just let lighting design, audio design, and the presence of our performers, right? We've got two lovely gents that can really command the screen and the stage, so why not let them do that and not worry so much about the gimmicks for a few moments and let people really live with them, either in close-up or composited next to each other or stacked one behind the other for the scenes. So just giving you some looks. This is the most stripped down. This is the most lo-fi. I'm not pitching this for 90 minutes, obviously, but you can see this is very simple yet and clean, yet dramatic, yet theatrical. And so I think there could be some compelling moments to use a device like this to really break us out and kind of strip everything away. So now I'm using my phone. We're all familiar with Snapchat, and Snapchat has these kind of graphical, ink-based, kind of cartoony filters. So I went ahead and used, again, this OBS Ninja, which is just a browser-based, turns whatever phone attaches to it into a live video feed. So I log in, I make my camera go live, it gives me a custom URL that only I have the code to, and I then can input that URL into OBS, Open Broadcaster Software, which is free, and it's then going to give me that live video feed into OBS over Wi-Fi. So generally speaking, this is going to see whatever the phone sees, which is great. So the actors don't really have to do anything. And we're just going to get the live video feed, and if they are connected to an audio device, it can also grab that audio. So we're able to get the live audio and video of the actors. Fantastic. So you see me, this is just with my phone. I attach it onto a tripod and kind of sit into the space. And you see I have the black curtain hung up over the green curtain. In a perfect world, there would be more curtain. We'd get a very large black curtain space and green curtain space. Especially if you want kind of a full body walking away at the end, we're going to need full green to do that. So here we have, I got a music stand, and I started playing with what would it look like to just go into Snapchat on my desktop, because they have SnapCam, a desktop app, and play with those exact same filters. And we're going to go through the green screen with a variety of kind of cartoony filters that I found, and then go through with the black curtain. So this one actually is a kind of hokey car. And these all come out of the box. This is on Snapchat. You can run anything through this. We could pre-record all the video and then run it through Snapchat. Obviously a recording of a recording, it degrades over time, but at the end of the day, it's a Zoom reading, so I think it'll be fine. And we, of course, could, if we had budget, pay someone to build a custom filter for us. Those can range anywhere from $20 to $2,000, and you get what you pay for. But if we felt like there'd be a compelling way to use filtering live with our actors. So here's I'm just going through examples. Here's even one with lighting. Gives kind of different kinds of lighting. And what I like about this, again, is it is just relying on what's happening live with our performers. So we are embracing the theatricality of what is happening in real time, that we're seeing a live, real-time performance. I'm now turning my phone from vertical to horizontal to just get kind of more width so I can move my hands around, move my shoulders around, kind of being more of a headshot. And now what I did was just roll empty on OBS footage OBS Ninja, the like live camera feed, into my computer with the black and the green, me pretending to be a driver, looking 2 different directions, forward and then to the side, and then me being the passenger now in the back seat, lounging back, looking forward, talking up to the guy in front of me, and then trying on the side to give some profile as well. I took down the black curtain and now did the green. Now you can see I put no time or care into lighting the green screen. There's terrible shadows. There's wrinkles. It's not even a full smooth green backdrop. And you can see this kind of very general kitchen chair. So that's again where I kind of had the idea over email that we could possibly lean into just weird chairs, like office chairs that look like car seats. So we could kind of give them a sense of place and have a cleaner edge so we're not worrying about those shadows and wrinkles. Then what I did was just went ahead and pulled that green real quick and terrible, and just showed compositing what I had recorded over the internet from my phone with no lighting on the backdrop, with bad shadowing, and immediately just placing it on top of one of the images that has been shared. So we're immediately seeing, this is what we can get out of the box with really no love, time, and care, with the worst of the worst setup. So this is as bad as it will look. And it's not a thing, which is cool. So now, what's interesting about these filters is then if we move into things like iMovie, because Tanya brought up color correction for editing, if we move into iMovie or Final Cut Pro, they actually have some filtering in that's already comes preloaded. So we could lean into an animated style, actually shared an Amazon animated film where they just took film footage and basically did the expensive version of this, where they then painted over the frames. This is the very cheap, free version of this, but we could have select moments that we lean into kind of an animated effect, which then would visually look better. It's going to look like, oh wow, it's an animated film, but it's happening live, and we've established that these are our actors and that they're doing this. So it might buy us a little bit of production value. And what's nice about leaning into that is, and I'm just kind of going through a variety of these filters, you can see some lighting effects, you can see different color effects. I can also then take the footage, all the B-roll footage that Tanya's provided, and throw the same filter on it. So suddenly now all this mixed media that we have from 2 different actors with 2 different cameras, throwing it in, could all look stylistically the same. So that's kind of my pitch on the filtering in post-production. Then I went and pulled the taxi cab model that I shared with you over email. And we're now moving into the most elevated part of this. I'm kind of slowly building up. This model has an interior and exterior, so you can see that if we kind of went inside, we could render out foreground and background elements, basically plate shots, which is essentially what y'all did in the kitchen to composite the kid for a Game Boy into her house. So it's that, but obviously none of our actors own a taxi cab that they're going to be creating our plate shots. So we have to create all those plate shots. And this is where, so you take it, you put it into a 3D modeler, you can then change some of the texturing, you could change some of the modeling. This is where it gets expensive to build custom modeling. But it showed, I'm just kind of demonstrating that you can drag and drop it into 3D modeling software and move stuff around and play with it. So I brought it into this 3D modeler, took a look at the model, it looked good, hooray, hooray. And now we're going to bring it into Unity. And Unity is a gaming engine. It is primarily what people use for building mobile games. I have used it to build VR experiences. I've honestly not touched it since at least August, because I've moved more into browser-based VR and web VR, just for accessibility reasons. You know, grandma can still see the show and can't do that when it's a Unity build for a very specific headset that nobody owns. So here is Unity 3D. Great piece of software, very robust. I don't know half of what it does, but I have done some builds in it. And this is me bringing our now taxi cab model, removing the windows just because I'm not going to get too into the weeds yet. And what I'm going to do is add a plane, basically a video player screen, that is going to play that video that I shot of me pretending to be the driver and the passenger on the green screen. Again, terrible green screen, but I'm going to bring it in so we can put my video in the driver's seat is the goal. So this is, again, we have put no time, love, and care. This is, you know, a real quick and terrible version of it just to get eyeballs on what would even be possible. And this is where you lose hours, just hours and hours and hours, because it is incredibly nuanced work. It's incredibly clunky work. I mean, even just doing this, I'm going to edit around it, but Unity crashed twice on me doing this. It's free software, so I can't complain, but so much. But, you know, this is where the hours eat away. So this is where I wanted to say, you can do a lot. I have made camera movements. I have, you know, done cool lighting effects in this before, but I've also taken literally years to render out all that footage, to put it into a feature film. So we will have to be very selective about what we choose here, but it would be possible, for example, for us to get one angle, you know, maybe right down the barrel, stack shot of the two of them in the car, slowly dollying in, right? And it would look, if we then composited their live videos in there, it would look like they were in the cab, you know, for the most part, which is pretty cool. So what we're reaching right now is me putting in this video, and you can see how long this has taken. I've sat here and talked to you, and, you know, this is just one video that's not even planned out, that's, you know, just dragging it in. It's not even thoughtfully placed, and this is the amount of time that it takes. Back in August, I started fiddling with chroma key filters. I actually worked with University of Southern Mississippi about taking this idea and scaling it in a major way, and then we did the same thing at a playhouse in Cleveland, where we basically put live theater inside of a gaming engine. Now, no one could attend it, but they could pre-record the show using this method and basically stack actors together inside the gaming engine. So you can bring web cameras instead of pre-recorded video into the gaming engine. But the chroma key side of this is very finicky. So I tried to make my own chroma keyer, was never successful with it. University of Southern Mississippi just ended up buying one to do it. And so for tonight's example, I just figured at some point in time I'm probably going to use this again. So I have purchased a chroma key filter from the store. But I wanted you to see effectively what it's doing is weeding out the green to apply it to the video player that is sitting in the driver's seat. And we can see very quickly how terrible that looks and how finicky that is and why I gave up on that workflow. So now, let's take a look at what it looks like when I actually use a store-bought shader that someone else built that knows what they're doing. Lining myself up on the seat. I hit play, and now we can see me in the driver's seat, my video. So we would want to plan the cropping of it. The chroma key is still not very great because the green screen was not very great, but I can start to really place myself inside the car, which is pretty nifty. And then obviously when I change directions, it's no longer really a great shot. But so now I'm going to switch to be pretending I'm the passenger. And if I slide the video in the back, slide it over, now that sense of distance and perspective, it looks like I'm in the back seat. Now because I tried the other side, I'm going to move inside the car, move into a profile angle, and wait for the video to catch up with me of when I was pretending to be the passenger profile in the back seat. And we'll get a look at how I might be able to composite that. So the video is looping, it's back to me in the front, pretending I'm driving, but this allows me to kind of get placement, see what it's going to look like. And then I'll twist it by the time that I'm the passenger. So taking all this into account, knowing we're moving from the most lo-fi to the most complicated, of just out-of-the-box things we could try to do using the bare bones of what the actors have. If we then, because obviously I don't look like I'm in a real cab, because there's that kind of like, it's not quite photoreal, but it's nice, it's close. If we then apply filtering to this, then the filter will apply equally to me and the cab, and it will start to look like we're all in the same animated universe, which might overall get us there. So that is what I did tonight. Hopefully that stokes ideas. And we talked about getting both of the actors on the 14th, which gives us 10 days to really figure out an entire previs strategy of a 90-minute piece, as well as figuring out our workflow for asset management, for kind of stylistically the kind of core conceits that we're going to play with. And then really, you know, I'm going to actually probably rely on y'all a little bit to do all the dummy testing with me before we have our actors, so that we've been testing this stuff on phones. We know it works. We know we like it, or we like it enough. And then Tanya tells me we have 12 hours to film with the actors, which if there's any way we could use the full 24, 25 hours, whatever it is, I would personally recommend that. But overall, I think that we are going to have some heavy lifting once we decide the technical element, helping them feel comfortable basically crewing themselves so that then they can really focus on the work, because I think that's what we all want, is the work. So thank you for listening to this. I hope it helped. I hope it gives us all eyeballs on actual prototypes of things so that we can then have constructive conversations moving forward. Thank you.